When the first time I looked at you, the world around me slowed into a quiet hush, and in that stillness, my soul whispered something I had never heard before. It was not just admiration, nor simple curiosity. It was the sudden awareness that something was changing in me. The busy corridors of royal life, the flashing cameras, the weight of responsibility, they all faded like distant echoes. In their place, there was just you, unaware, unassuming, yet carrying the calm of 1,000 seas in your eyes. I didn't know your name. I didn't need to. My heart recognized you long before my mind did. Your presence didn't arrive with a storm. It came like a breeze through the desert, silent yet unforgettable. That moment, as fleeting as it was, stayed etched in my memory like a royal seal on parchment. There was something sacred about how you carried yourself, not in royalty or wealth, but in your simplicity, your stillness. It made me question the kind of power I believed in. Because you, without even trying, made me feel more grounded than any crown I've ever worn. I remember watching you speak to a child near the stables, your voice soft, your gestures gentle. That was the first time I saw grace in its rawest form, not dressed in silk or draped in jewels, but expressed in kindness, humanity, and effortless elegance. You turned, and our eyes met, briefly, but long enough to imprint something eternal on my heart. It was then that I realized, I didn't just want to know you, I needed to understand what kind of soul lived inside you. In the days that followed, I found myself waiting. Waiting for another glimpse, another fleeting chance to feel that connection again. In a palace where time is measured in duties and protocol, you became my unexpected distraction. I began to notice how your silence said more than words, how your eyes held stories untold. I, a man accustomed to calculated moves and guarded emotions, found myself shaken by something as gentle as your smile. There is something terrifying about falling for someone in a single glance. Not because it's too fast, but because you know the moment your heart leaps, you'll never be the same again. That first look didn't just stir feelings, it opened a gate I had long locked away. A gate behind which dreams, hopes, and unspoken desires had quietly gathered dust. And now, they rushed forward, whispering your name. My mind, trained in caution, told me to be still. But my heart, my reckless, untamed heart, kept wandering back to that moment. I started writing poetry again. Lines that bled across pages, born from a gaze that changed my universe. In every verse, your essence spilled like ink. You didn't know it, but you had already become the muse to a prince who had forgotten what inspiration felt like. The world sees Sheikh Hamdan as a man of control, strength, and resolve. But that day, when I looked at you, I felt none of those things. I felt vulnerable. And strangely, it was the most powerful thing I had experienced. For once, I wasn't leading a charge or carrying a kingdom. I was just a man, struck by beauty so profound, it unraveled every layer I wore like armor. I began to understand why poets speak of love like a war and a bomb, why mystics speak of beloveds like their glimpses of the divine. Because in that first look, I saw not just a woman. I saw the echo of my longing, the mirror of everything I had been seeking. You weren't loud or commanding. You were just present. Fully. And that presence was enough to awaken something royal even in the ordinary corners of my heart. I was raised to be strong, to make decisions with the wisdom of a ruler. But when I saw you, every rule blurred. You weren't a calculation. You were the unknown. The unexplored. And that made you dangerous in the most beautiful way. Suddenly, I didn't want safety. I wanted risk. I wanted you. Since that moment, I've walked through gardens, flown across countries, attended councils and ceremonies, but nothing compares to the stillness of that one heartbeat where we first connected. I sometimes wonder if you felt it too. If that glance carried weight for you as well. Or if you simply moved on, unaware of the way you altered the course of my existence. I wanted to say something then. A word, a greeting, anything. But kings are often silent where poets would sing. And so, I walked away, but not without carrying you in the depth of my gaze, in the rhythm of my breath. You had become a secret between me and myself, one I wasn't ready to share with anyone. Even now, every time I see you, I relive that first moment. That glimpse is forever engraved in the walls of my memory like ancient calligraphy. I don't know where this road leads, but I do know it started that day, with one look. One undeniable, unforgettable look. So if ever you wonder why I stare a second longer, or why I hesitate to speak, it's not fear. It's reverence. Because I am still caught in that moment when time first stopped and destiny first whispered, "There she is." That was when the story began. That was when I first looked at you. And that is the moment I will never forget. There are days I stand at my window, looking out at the skyline of Dubai, watching the sun melt into the horizon like gold dissolving in the ocean. And in those quiet spaces between dusk and night, I find myself thinking of you. Not just the memory of that first look, but everything that's bloomed since. The way your name has become a silent echo in my heart, how even the air feels different when you're near. This longing, it is not heavy, it's holy. A prayer disguised as a desire, wrapped in the elegance of patience. I've seen wars fought for love and empires crumble in its name, but what I feel for you is not about conquest. It's about surrender. A surrender not born of weakness, but of awe. You don't have to be mine to hold such power over me. The truth is, you already reign over a part of my soul without ever asking for it. I often wonder if that's how real love works, unseen, undefined, yet undeniable. Something that needs no permission to exist. There are moments when I try to imagine what I would say if the world disappeared for a moment and it was just you and me. I wouldn't speak of palaces or titles. I would talk about the way your silence speaks to me, how your absence leaves behind an ache more profound than any royal farewell. I would confess that I envy the breeze that touches your face, the sunlight that dances across your skin, because they go where I cannot yet go. In my private journal, I've written your name more times than I've signed royal documents. Your name isn't just a name to me, it's a melody. It's the rhythm my heart taps to when I'm alone.